Korsgaard, where is Ryan stationed this morning? Pardon?
Oh, so he's near
45
Hobby.
in Monroe.
Yeah.
All right, good deal. Let's go ahead and get Ryan up live. Do we have Ryan live, or we're doing a phoner with Ryan?
Oh.
There we go. Ryan, can you hear us?
Hey, good morning, guys. Yeah, let me show you what's going on. We're kind of watching traffic. This is the southbound side of 45. Xavier, let's walk over here. Houston police about to launch this boat. We've seen two in the water in just the last little bit. It's hard to see. There's one over to the right. That's from the Houston Fire Department. This is part of the Houston Police dive team. They are launching into this neighborhood. And to give you an idea of where we are, we're just to the east of Hobby Airport. We have heard reports from people calling in of people possibly trapped in attics, at least back in this direction off of Edgebrook. I'm told from Houston firefighters overnight, they say they're having a hard time, just as all of us are, getting around town. So right now, Houston Police, this is the dive team launching this boat to go into this neighborhood just off of Monroe in 45. Beyond this, you can see, wow, a lot of lightning. You can see there are two trailers sitting here. That's because two of the Houston Fire Department boats are already in the water. Again, I'm being told by Houston fire sources that they're having the same problem so many of us are simply getting around tonight. Xavier, I see over here to the left some people walking in our direction. So as soon as they make it past the police car there, we'll ask them what they've seen and what they can tell us. I'm told by a Houston firefighter that at this point they have closed down. Hey, sir, can we talk to you? Sir. No. Can y'all describe what you've seen back there in the neighborhood? Thank you. You can imagine they're trying to get up just beyond here, and we'll walk in this direction. There are Metro buses. I'm told about 8 of them are parked up here on the freeway, out of service at this point, the sign says, but they're using those buses to carry people out of this neighborhood, again, in the Monroe 45 area. We know there are at least 3 boats in the water at this point, 2 from the fire department, 1 from the police department, and more people simply coming up. You can see this all-terrain vehicle over here. It has carried people as well over to these buses. So literally they're going into the neighborhoods, bringing people out, trying to get them out to safety. But so much water came up so quickly. In fact, you can look over here in the parking lot of this Restaurant Supply and you can get an idea of how high some of the water is and what they're having to walk through to get out of the neighborhood. Let's see if we can visit with a couple of these people as they try and make it over to safety. They're helping them right here over the barrier. You can see as y'all walk over here, could you tell me what you saw back in the neighborhoods?
Very flooded. My car actually got flooded.
Yeah, y'all okay?
So, yeah, we're fine.
All right, thank you very much. Trying to get these folks, got it, thank you. Trying to get these folks out of the neighborhoods. Firefighters asked us to move over here. Is back behind these Metro buses, there are more and more rescue vehicles trying to get through. Let's walk over here. This gives you an idea of kind of what we're dealing with. And guys, if you can still hear me, let me know at some point, because I'm not sure that the phone is still dialed in. You can see there are still some cars, and as crazy as it is, some private vehicles still trying to get around. It's a good idea not to do this because there are so many fire trucks trying to get around, ambulances, police cars trying to get around the city right now, and to have your private vehicles out here, not a good idea. Also, not a good idea to walk through that water, you can imagine. But you can see how high it is, again, just in this area. To give you an idea of what it took for us to get here, we could not take 45 southbound out of downtown. That's because it is closed at this point. We couldn't take 288. It's very low lying. We couldn't make that. So we ended up taking 59 all the way around Beltway 8 back northbound on 45. And made it here. You cannot get off, for the most part, of 45 into any of these neighborhoods. Let's check and see if there are any folks still in any of these cars over here with the blinking lights. Fire trucks trying to move around. You can imagine that's not an easy task at this point. So many of these cars, it appears, So many of these cars, it appears, have been abandoned at this point. This bus loaded up, but you can see there were about 7 others beyond it. Let me see, this gentleman's in his car. Ask him how long he's been here. Can I ask you a question? No, he's very busy. But there are so many cars that are backed up here along 45, the Gulf Freeway. And again, this is southbound. It's closed at this point. Northbound, somewhat open, but there are very few cars that are able to make that trip at this point. Again, another car, another. So many of the people have abandoned their cars before they got down off of the access road and into this neighborhood. Xavier, if we look over here, you can see the pickup we just showed you on live television a minute ago trying to make it through there. It's going to be interesting to see how far he can make it. Hopefully, for his sake, it will go up a little bit. That's not worth it. I mean, it's not worth it for your vehicle, certainly not worth it for your life. And where are you going to get? We can tell you from our drive in on the Gulf Freeway, several car lots along the bayous here. Some cars were high and dry, but many of them, you can imagine, were sitting down there in the water. I'm kind of checking just to see if there are any of these other cars that have people sitting in them that we might check with. You can imagine they've been here for some time. We know that from our drive in on Beltway 8, you cannot go back in the westbound direction at this point on the South Belt. We were only able to come east. So really, if these people were able to go, let's see if we can talk to this bus driver and see how long she's been here and what the plan is. Hey, ma'am. Can we ask you, how long have you been here?
Too long.
Too long? What are y'all doing? Really quickly, just let us know what y'all are doing trying to help these folks out. All right, thanks so much. Metro bus drivers, this is the last in the line here, trying to get people out of their vehicles, out of the neighborhood, and hopefully loaded up into safety. This is kind of the last in the line here with the fire rescue operations down here. Again, 3 boats that we know of from this location in the water. Told by firefighters that they're having the same problem the rest of us are, and that's trying to get around. If you don't have to get out, I wouldn't. And there's frankly no reason to be out at 3 o'clock in the morning. Owen, Rachel, any questions as we're going to try and continue down and walk back down to see if they're pulling anybody out of the neighborhood at this point?
I guess the thing here, Ryan, all these folks are stopped on the freeway just because they can't get home, basically.
That's correct. They can't get into the neighborhoods. And you can see a couple of these, the Metro buses are moving forward here. That's correct. You cannot, there's nowhere to go. You can see over here, this is a pretty high profile, it looks like an Explorer. It presumably tried to make it through at some point. The back hatch is still up. It's drowned out. And that's one of those vehicles you'd think would be the last one to flood out. But frankly, I'm kind of surprised that pickup we just showed you did not as well.
So Ryan, Cambrella is telling us that area you're in right now has gotten 18 inches of rain in the last 12 hours. Incredible amounts.
It is, and you know, you think of it, even if you're not familiar with this area and you've driven into Hobby Airport on Broadway or any of about 4 different exits, you go over at least one bayou. Imagine that, and the best I can tell is what we're seeing here is probably that water that has overgrown the banks and is now up in the parking lots here.
So you basically have 2 things going on. You've got people who can't get home and stopped on the freeway and they're going to jump on a bus and go somewhere safe, but then you have people back in their neighborhoods who can't get out. And that's the second piece of the puzzle.
And you have people who went to bed, you know, at last night. And in fact, if we look over here, they're still loading up more and more people. They're bringing in off of the people movers there, loading them up, taking them to safety. So good work from the Houston Fire Department. Metro is here, Houston Police as well. loading these people up. But you're right, going to bed last night, and then they wake up to rising water and trying to figure out what to do next. And that's the predicament these folks find themselves in. It looks like this bus is full. They're about to pull it out, but again, about 7 others lined up right behind it as they continue to bring people out. Well, let's go over here, Xavier, and we can see how they're bringing the people out of the neighborhood, since obviously the SUVs can't make it around, pickups can't make it around. People are coming out even with dogs. Some have life jackets on, whatever they can. Children, carrying them to safety, getting them in the bus, and hopefully to safety. Long night for these folks.
So Ryan, yesterday we saw these Metro buses. A lot of them were staged over the West Park Tollway. They were parked there, different parts of the city. Now these buses are being loaded up, put to use. Thankfully, we have access to these. Where are these folks headed to now? The shelters?
I have not heard. I need to check back with the fire department source. He just, the last I heard was that they were being simply carried to safety, is how it was put. And you can see a lot of people. Thank goodness for the plan. A lot of people were breathing a sigh of relief yesterday. The city and county did not put down their guard. They kept these vehicles, these Metro buses, and the high water rescue folks from the Houston Fire in place.
Just heartbreaking when you see kids, young babies, mothers being taken out of here with just the clothes on their backs and whatever they can grab for their families.
Yeah, what originally brought us down here, Rachel, is a phone call to our assignments desk at Channel 2, and the call was that the rising water meant people, Xavier, even more people being brought off now. And the call was that people had climbed into the attic to safety. That's what brought us here. We can't make it into the neighborhood, as you can imagine. And these folks are being brought in. We're trying not to bother them because we're trying to get them to safety and out of the rain as quickly as possible. But you can see a child being carried in mom's arms to safety to get out of here and hopefully safer place than where they came from, that's for sure.
I will say this, as heartbreaking as this is the way the plan is supposed to go, because there weren't mandatory evacuations for these neighborhoods. Nobody knew exactly where it was going to flood. You're just going to have to wait it out and see, because if you can imagine anyone who's a little bit scared, if they would have all hit the road and tried to get out of there, they'd all be stuck right now on the freeway and nobody would be able to go anywhere. And we saw some of that, years ago, the likes of Hurricane Rita. So this is as heartbreaking as it is. This is working, I think, the way it's supposed to work.
I think you're exactly right. Not planned, but they had their plan in place, and by not planned, I mean there were no evacuations necessarily for this neighborhood. I certainly didn't hear of any last night, but water came up quickly, and frankly, these guys and gals responded quickly and are getting the last few people out of this high-level vehicle, getting them loaded up onto that Metro bus and to move on. But you can see some of them carrying plastic containers, what they have, carrying that hopefully to safety. I'm kind of looking around, trying to find a Houston fire captain we might be able to talk to just about what they're going through. I'm trying not to interrupt their operation.
I'll tell you what, Ryan, why don't you go for it? We'll let you shut the light off so you're not tracking people down with cameras. Let you go find that Houston fire captain. Britta's with us. You go do that, and we'll check in with you in a little bit. How about it?